Admit it, Chief. You assisted Lana Sky in forging evidence. Your motive? To appoint her as Chief Prosecutor, so you could control her. Right, my boy. You have quite an imagination. Let me ask you something. What? Do you have any proof of this? That I controlled Lana? For example, is Lana testifying that I've done such a thing? Lana... she's keeping quiet to protect Emma. There's no way she'd testify against Gant. I'm afraid without any proof, this all amounts to nothing more than mere conjecture. Unless... that is also what happened in this incident. This incident? Which one would that be? It would be the current one. The death of Goodman. What Edgeworth is telling us is that if there is proof that Damon Gant used Lana Sky, in this case to do as he sees fit, then clearly it shows that he is using that power as he must have wanted it when she was appointed Chief Prosecutor. Of course, I'm talking about the murder of Detective Bruce Goodman. The Chief Prosecutor has been acting strange throughout this entire trial. Almost as if someone has been controlling her. Wordy, you better watch your tongue. I wouldn't want you to get hurt. Just what do you mean? What he means, Your Honor, is that Chief Gant is involved in the murder of Detective Goodman. Not only that, but the Chief is now making Lana take the rap to cover up his involvement. What? Order! 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 I said order! Mr. Wright, you cannot be serious. As that serious as he can be. Huh? This is an affront to the highest ranking officer in our law enforcement agency. To accuse the chief of police of blackmail and murder. That's impossible. Yeah, well, tough shit. Life sucks. Anyone can be a murderer. And we have to check every possibility. I mean, remember, not even a long time ago we have proven that Manfred von Karma, the god of prosecutors, was proven to be the murderer in the DL6 incident like 15 years ago, which was one of the most famous cases. And it happened such a long time ago, too. Your Honor, I was merely reiterating. Reiterating. Man, that is such a difficult word to say. Reiterating blah, 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 what Mr. Edgeworth said in easier to understand language. It's too late, Mr. Wright. There's no turning back for us now. Looks like he's the one who's decided to go through with this. Can you prove this, Mr. Wright? That the chief, a high-ranking officer of the law, is involved in this murder? Good question. Regardless of his rank or title, Chief Gant is just a man. The question is he a criminal? I believe the evidence will tell. I see. Alright then. Show us this evidence that ties Chief Gant to the murder of Detective Goodman. Just remember, he better be good. Well, one evidence off the top of my head that can be a good start to the theory is the ID number that he has. 7777777. This is the ID card list. Yes, the one that shows who entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. There was one ID on the list we couldn't determine, the owner of yesterday. And as you may remember, Edgeworth said that the ID number that was left is that of someone with a high rank. And he also checked to see if it was Lana's ID, but it wasn't. Jump to much later, when we were investigating Damon Gahn's office, we managed, on a hunch, to figure out that the password to Damon Gahn's safe was his ID number. 7777 777. Sorry, but there's no way you can prove that's my card number. It's your number. Plain and simple. What? How do you know that? The safe in Chief Gahn's office requires a code to open. A 7-digit code. 7 digits? You don't mean... I'm afraid so, Your Honor. The code was 7777777. The same as the remaining ID card number on that list. Which would mean, as we have discussed earlier in the last trial, the one who could have murdered Goodman before 5:15 p.m., the one who also had their ID number, 7777777, was... Padum-pum. Alright, I'm getting my juice back. Chief Gant, you entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. Oh yeah. Order, order. Chief Gant, what do you have to say? Nothing. The defense's search of my office was in violation of regulations. And I will demand Mr. Wright be punished to the maximum extent of the law. Edgeworth. But right now, this court demands an explanation from you about the use of this ID card. Chief Gant, so you admit it? You entered the evidence room on the day of the crime? What about it? I'm chief of police. Whether it's the evidence room or the bathroom, what's the difference? I can go anywhere I want. Tell me, when you entered the room, were you alone? I always go to the bathroom alone, as I do with the evidence room. Detective Goodman wouldn't have happened to be with you that day, would he? I mean, he couldn't have been able to get inside the evidence room because he lost his ID that day. The only way he could enter in there without it is to have someone else go with him there. And the only person that would fit, given everything else we discussed in regards to the ID record, is, well, you! Of course not! Why would he be? I hadn't seen him in days! You hadn't seen him in days? Chief Gant, I'm afraid you've just undone yourself. On that day, you had to have met with Detective Goodman. What do you mean? This trial's purpose is to determine Lana Sky's guilt. No, it isn't, Your Honor. This trial's purpose is to determine the truth. And to punish the true murderer. If Chief Khan met the victim on the day of the crime, then we need to determine one thing. What transpired during that meeting? In that case, Mr. Wright, I'm going to have to ask you for evidence. Shows proof that the victim went to meet Chief Kant on the day of the crime. Okay. If you want proof, well... here's the proof, like right over here. the lost item report, which is to be submitted to the chief. Goodman had to have met with Damon Gunn for this. Detective Goodman lost his ID card on the day of the crime. Or to be more accurate, Jake Marshall stole it. So Detective Goodman filled out a lost item report. He would have had to give that report to the chief of police. Yet you are in possession of the report. Which means you cannot be sure if he filed it. He filed it. How do I know, you ask? Because he needed to enter the evidence room that day. He needed to? Yes, to transfer the evidence out. Oh. Detective Goodman took the form to you, Chief Gant. Then, you accompanied the detective to the evidence room. I accompanied him? There is no other way the murderer and Detective Goodman could have entered the room. Hold on. Let me guess what you're going to say next. I, the chief of police, murdered poor Goodman. Exactly. But wait. The chief didn't necessarily need to accompany him to the evidence room. He could have just lent him his ID card. Yes. Now that you mention it, I believe I might have done something of the sort. Sorry, but that's not possible. According to the record, your card was only used once. But you showed us your ID card earlier. If you had really lent it to Detective Goodman, you would have been found on his body! No! Whoa! What the fuck? Holy meatballs! Chief Gant, you didn't... Christ! Move over, Manfred von Karma! Here is someone who is also competing for the role of the Emperor. The murder was most likely committed on the spur of the moment. No one in their right mind would choose the police department as a place to commit murder. After the murder, you contacted Lana at the prosecutor's office. Why else? To dispose of the Detective Goodman's body. However, the victim's body was discovered in the prosecutor's office parking lot. How did he manage to move it there? Quite simple. He used Edgeworth's car. Except Damon Gant wasn't the one that drove it, but Edgeworth himself. I was at the police department the entire day, you know. And everyone's aware that Lana stayed at the prosecutor's office after the ceremony. Everyone except me, it seems. Still, you're the chief of police. You have an entire police force at your disposal. Oh, so you think I just ordered an office to do it? Hey you, take this here dead body over there to the prosecutor's office. I don't think so. Chief Gant, you left all the evidence we need to prove how you moved the body to the prosecutor's office. And all this time I thought it was a useless coup just taking up space. How could the chief have moved the body? Mr. Wright, show us this evidence. To move the victim's body, Chief Gant used this. I mean, I know what the answer is, but I pray to God on the correct evidence I need to show, like the parking stub? It shows that Edgeworth came to the prosecutor's office at 5:12 PM. Like, right when the body was discovered. Edgeworth drove from the police department to the prosecutor's office. Which means that this should be the proof. I mean, not to mention that Phoenix said that it felt like it was something that was taking up space. We haven't used this till now, but now I can. This is how he moved Detective Goodman's body. Parking stop? Miles Edgeworth. I mean, thank God that you didn't take it literal, that he used, he carried the body of Goodman all the way there using a parking stop. Yeah, I'm glad that you are not taking it literal. You mean... the body was found in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. I think it's obvious what happened. The body was moved by that car! You mean I carried the victim's body? Exactly, Edgeworth. You were carrying Goodman's body inside the trunk of your car, without knowing. And in order for the body to arrive at the prosecutor's office, as Damon Gant wanted, he tasked you to do one specific thing that day. Precisely so. But wait, even you know, I didn't plan on returning to my office. No, but Damon Gant surely did, after the ceremony finished that day. But you did return. Tell me, why? I was asked to go, by Chief Khan no less. He told me he wanted to keep a screwdriver at the prosecutor's office. In any case, on the day of the incident, I brought this to the prosecutor's office. So you see, what it really took to the prosecutor's office wasn't the screwdriver, but the victim's body in your trunk! Detective Goodman's body was carried in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car? Yes. Unless, of course, you have another explanation, Chief. Why else would you have asked Mr. Edgeworth to carry evidence from a closed case? Well, you were basically making him carry that screwdriver for no reason, except having him move the body to its destination, without him knowing. That is quite dirty. There's only one plausible explanation. To transport the body to your accomplice, Miss Lana Skye. Order! 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 What's going on here? Is there no room for rebuttal to the defense's outrageous accusations? Think back to the photograph Miss Starr took at the prosecutor's office. This was not a photo of the body being stuffed in the trunk to be taken away. It was exactly the opposite. It is a photo of the body being taken from the trunk. Yep. And as a final piece of evidence that proves that Lana Skye wasn't the one that killed her, when Angel Starr saw her stab Goodman, he was already dead at that point. What Lana did back then was done for a different reason than to murder, since Gant was the one that did it. Chief Gant, please say something. I believe. Your time's up. You gotta be kidding me. My time's up? Sorry, Rido. But I'm having lunch with the District Attorney General after this. We have to get to going if we're to make it in time for the yearly birth special. Oh no, you aren't. We aren't done yet. But the cross-examination isn't finished yet. Remember what I told you earlier. A police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons? Like the right to refuse to testify. I'm invoking that right now. What? But that is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered. So you're going to just run away after all this? Run away. Don't make me laugh, Wordy. I stabbed old Goodman. That's what you're saying, right? But if you had any conclusive evidence, you would have presented it by now. Well, You think I had Lana dispose of the body? If so, then show your proof and get it over with. I'll say it again, Mr. Wright. Damon Gaunt is the current chief of police. This court will not tolerate any accusations against him without concrete proof. Well, Mr. Wright? Your Honor? Do you have any concrete proof? Proof that Chief Gaunt murdered Detective Goodman and made Miss Sky dispose of his body. Do I have any concrete proof? Well... Lana Sky is proof. If she can tell us what she actually did that day with his body, then it would be good. But then again, what kind of evidence should I choose here? I cannot let him just squirm his way out of this. I've got to keep the pressure on. Yes, Your Honor. I do have such evidence. Then please hurry up and present it. Just remember, you better prove Chief Gaunt murdered Detective Goodman, beyond a shadow of doubt. What evidence should I choose? What evidence should I choose? What evidence should I choose to showcase my idea? What evidence should I choose to showcase my idea? Or any other kind of idea that I didn't think of until now. Cause what we talked about before about how his body got to the prosecutor's office, that Goodman got killed in the evidence room. It's all stuff that I thought about, but I don't really know about any other evidence that I could use. I have no idea. I have no goddamn idea. God damn it! Why is it that stuff like this always happens? I have my ideas, but I don't know what piece of evidence to show in order to support my idea. Like, I want to get Lana into questioning this. I'm questioning this. I want to get Lana to testify about this. Couldn't we just do that? That switchblade? So, what exactly is this evidence? It's proof as to whether or not it's enough to demonstrate the chief's guilt. Please don't tell me that I've actually got that. I'll let you be the judge. But I am the judge. Oh, right. Well, what do you think, Your Honor? What I think, Mr. Wright, is I'm going to be late for my meal. I guess it wasn't enough. Please, Your Honor, give me just a little longer to consider. I'll say it again, Mr. Wright. Damon Gaunt is the current chief of police. This court will not tolerate any accusations against him without concrete proof. Well, Mr. Wright? Your Honor? Do you have any concrete proof? Proof that Chief Gaunt murdered Detective Goodman and made Miss Sky dispose of his body? Do I have any concrete proof? Okay, well, let's try this again. See if we can find something here. God, you know, I'm noticing something here, and I feel like this is cheating, since it's not really realistic, but wasn't that when we chose wrong evidences we are pulled back to choosing another piece of evidence? The fact that now we are like back here means it could be that there's no proof yet? I mean, this is cheating in my eyes. I mean, this is using game logic in order to progress if it's true. Because if it is true, then this decision here has quite a big importance. Which could mean that there is no proof yet. I mean, if we are to exclude game logic and use a realistic mindset over here, I don't really see any evidence. I don't really have like any concrete proof to solidify, so realistically I would say that there is no proof either. I don't know. It's no use showing evidence I'm not even sure of myself. Please tell me that there actually is. No, Your Honor. At present, I have no conclusive evidence. See, Edgy? In that case, this court is forced to penalize you for your allegations against the chief. What? I don't gamble unless the stakes are high. He sees that Lady Luck was on my side again today. Okay, Edgy, I'll leave the rest to you. Oh god, this isn't good. I warned you earlier, Mr. Wright. This is an affront to a senior officer in our nation's law enforcement agency. Nation's law? Whoa! Lady Luck, Maybe we should have a word with her. Eh? Lady Luck? Mr. Edgeworth? What do you mean? There's one lady who knows the real truth behind this trial. We haven't yet had the honor of hearing her testimony. Thank you! Christ, you know, some people say that evidence means everything. Well, fuck that shit! It is also about the word of the people, yo! It is about the word of the common folk! A lady who knows the truth. Not a witness. In the absence of conclusive evidence, the only other method of proof is testimony. But Chief Kant has invoked his right to refuse to testify. There's still someone else. One more witness who can answer all the questions. Raised in this trial. Someone right in this very room. Mr. Edgeworth, who is this person? Why are you asking me on him? Have you forgotten? The defense is the one calling witnesses today. Mr. Wright, does such a witness exist? She may not be willing to tell the truth. But we cannot just stop now. Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls forth... Lana Sky! The defendant? Miss Lana Sky? She was in the underground parking lot at 5:15 on February 21st. Her task, to dispose of the victim's body. In accordance with a certain someone's orders. Okay, I think I read that wrong. My bad. I didn't see that as the end of the sentence. Mr. Edgeworth? The prosecution has no objections, Your Honor. Very well. The court will now take its final recess for the day. Final recess? Sheesh. So we are making this a three-parter, then. Good Christ! This is like the first time we're making it like 2 recesses, I think. We had 1 recess. Actually, no, wait, hold on, no. No, actually, no. I remember that in the first day of trial for this case, we had a recess after a long cross-examination with Angel Star, and then we had Damon Gunn testify, and then we ended the trial. That was like 1 recess. Now we have 2. In 15 minutes, we will reconvene to hear the defendant's testimony. This court is now in okay. Who is it? Huh? Chief Gaunt! I thought you were going to eat. Ah! Blow me! What do you want? Listen good, Lana. He's talking to Lana. I don't think you need me to tell you this, but if you accept Mr. Wright's claim, there will be terrible consequences. That's right. Your sister will be found guilty for Neil Marshall's murder. I see. So you're using Emma in order for Lana to keep her mouth shut about your crimes. You are quite the scum of the earth. This isn't good. Well, no shit, Phoenix. This isn't good at all. Of course, you'd never support such outrageous claims anyway, right? Just something to think about. Alright then. I've got a lunch date to meet. Okay, if there aren't any further objections, then this court is now in recess. I swear that man.